In the Bad Batch series, we so far get the sense that there is a political competition between the Kaminoans and certain imperial figures such as Rampart to either continue the cloning project or to get rid of it entirely. In the third episode, when we are first introduced to Rampart, we learn that he's leading a new project called Project Mantle. The project is designed to use non-clone soldiers to develop an elite squad by using clones to train these new recruits. The Kaminoans are then in turn fearful of being rendered obsolete and begin designing a new experiment that will allow them to produce super soldiers using the DNA of one of the Bad Batch members. All of this really lets us know that at this point in time, the Empire hasn't really decided whether or not it wants to continue using clones or get rid of it. Even Tarkin, who claims that the clones are a relic of the past and claims to be an unnecessary expense, understands that he can't just get rid of the clones, at least not until he's able to find a suitable replacement. So we know that at some point the Empire does transition from clones to Stormtroopers, but it seems as though at this point in time, everything is still up in the air. According to Rampart and Tarkin, the quality of soldier that they're looking for is one that can profess absolute loyalty to the Empire. But as we see in episode 3, having non-clones as soldiers doesn't really guarantee this process. It also raises a ton of questions. If loyalty was the one quality that Tarkin and the Empire are looking for, surely clones with their inhibitor chips that are controlled would be the perfect solution. After all, with their inhibitor chips activated, they basically have no free will of their own and are forced to obey every single command. Crosshair in this case is a perfect example, which means that in order for the Empire to transition from clones to Stormtroopers, something must have happened that convinced Tarkin that non-clones would be a better alternative, even though non-clones are not the perfect solution. So what could this event be? This is where I think a clone rebellion on Kamino is the most probable outcome that would ultimately convince the Empire that non-clones are the better solution, and a clone rebellion simply makes sense within the given plot. We know that at some point, the Bad Batch will be heading back to rescue Crosshair, who is under the influence of the inhibitor chip. However, there is a looming question behind all this. What about the rest of their clone brothers who are also under the influence of the chip? I mean, I know that the Bad Batch consider themselves to be different from the Regs, but surely they wouldn't just abandon their brothers to eternal slavery. After all, their relationship that they have forged with the other Regs, such as Cut and Rex, surely the Bad Batch wouldn't just abandon the rest. The same thing goes for Captain Rex as well. We know that we're gonna see him at some point during the series, the only question is, what has he been doing all this time? We also know that in Rebels, the few clones that managed to escape the inhibitor chip are Commander Wolffe and Commander Gregor, and it still remains unexplained as to how they managed to get rid of their inhibitor chips as well. So what if the entire Bad Batch series culminates in a clone rebellion, that by the end of the series, all the free clones team up to set their brothers free? Then the clones that were set free from the inhibitor chip would then launch a rebellion in an attempt to secure their own freedom, and we know that the clones would be absolutely against the Empire, given that any free-thinking clone would have chosen to disobey Order 66 like Rex did and stay loyal to the Republic. However, in the process of doing so, it would only serve to prove to Tarkin that clones could not be trusted to stay loyal to the Empire. After all, if the only reason why clones are loyal to the Empire is due to their inhibitor chips, what if all those chips somehow got hacked and shut down? It would be a major security risk to the Empire. As such, if there was a clone rebellion, it would serve to prove this point, and that to Tarkin, a better alternative would be needed. While non-clone troopers could disobey orders or defect, at the very least their loyalty isn't contingent on the need for inhibitor chips to manufacture loyalty, and their collective loyalty wouldn't just change overnight as a result of an inhibitor chip failing or being deactivated. Of course, this rebellion would ultimately be doomed to fail. After all, the Empire does go on, and by the time of the rebellion we don't see many clones running around. So it would just make sense that within the plot that a rebellion would be the ultimate nail in the coffin for the cloning project. Not to mention, there is also precedent for this in the Legends continuity. In Legends, we do get a clone rebellion, albeit the causes for that rebellion were for very different reasons, and primarily came about as a result of disillusioned Kaminoans. Nonetheless, in Legends, this was what convinced the Emperor to change from clones to Stormtroopers. So, while the Bad Batch may use different reasons for the rebellion, it would also lead to the same conclusion. So let me know what you think about my theory, leave a comment down below, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. I am the Lost Acolyte,
and I have spoken.